This is the 6th and final lesson on Someday My Prince Will Come, but do check to see my bonus session which comes afterwards. In this lesson I'm going to be looking at some of the rhythmic ideas, some of the melodic ideas, and maybe some of the harmonic ideas that we've seen in both the solos of Miles Davis and Wynton Kelly. I'm going to be suggesting how you can move forward in learning improvisation, taking some ideas from the masters, and I'll be presenting these in the lesson. This is lesson 6 on Someday My Prince Will Come. In this lesson, I'm going to use some of the rhythms from Miles Davis's solo to help me and to help you improvise. I'm looking at the worksheet number 3, so if you have that, halfway down it says try using the opening rhythms of Miles Davis to start your solo and choose your own pitches. That particular rhythm comes from the Miles Davis solo. It's the opening, so I will play it now with the pitches because it's obviously just a rhythm on your piece of paper. And that's the rhythm. So you could make up your own pitches there, and I'll demonstrate that. 1, 2, 3, a 2, 2, 3. I always use chord tones. There's not a lot of opportunity to play other notes because it's quite limited. In fact, rhythmically it's quite simple, and there's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 notes. So I have focused a little bit more on the chord tones. I'll just do something else, see if that works if I put in some passing notes. Okay. 1, 2, 3. I'll do that again. I slightly varied the rhythm, but you can see how you get going, and it's very exciting because you want to do your own thing. But no, I'm going to try and stick to this rhythm. Here we go again. And it is quite difficult to put in lots of things, but it gives you an idea of how to practice. So if you don't feel confident in your rhythms, maybe take down the rhythm of a solo and put your own pitches to it. I'm going to look at the motivic development in the solo, and Miles Davis has this interval of a fourth. I'll just play that, and uses it quite a lot in his improvisation. You remember I talked about that in the second lesson, where in the B section the tune goes like this. Well, this is the solo. So I thought it might be quite interesting to vary and focus on intervals. So I've taken this interval of a fourth and I've made up my own little solo. So let's see how that sounds. 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3. So I use the interval of a fourth. There's a fourth again. This isn't a fourth. Well, technically it's not a perfect fourth, but it goes E flat to B. That is really a major third. And then we've got a perfect fourth on the C, and I managed to slip one in on the F. So playing around with intervals, you can actually repeat phrases but just play them in different places on different beats. The next two ideas are just demonstrating enclosures, and that was just really to go on about how instead of arriving at your destination, you delay it by playing the note above and the note below. So on the worksheet, this is the final line. I've just written out the little turn that we had on C minor. So the turn is, the enclosure is, and then the next one is to get to F. So you can play around with enclosures, that's always good fun. And look at Wynton Kelly's solo now and some of the ideas that he's put in his solo. And this is on page 4 of the worksheet. So here's the lovely, nicely balanced phrases in Wynton's solo in bar 17. I'll just play that again. Beautiful. I'm just going to put the rhythm there, and you can put your own pitches in. So I'm just going to see what happens when I do that. Again, it's all improvised, so bear with me on this one. Nowhere is lovely and beautiful as Wynton's, but it shows you can take a rhythm and put your own pitches in there. The next line has strong phrases from the Wynton Kelly solo, and that was from bar 29. Some of the chords have changed to fit the cadence 5-1. When it occurs in the actual piece of music, it's not used in that with that in mind. So this is the very last 4 bars of the Wynton Kelly solo in the first chorus, and this is here it goes. And the phrase that I really wanted to focus on was the first 2 bars. And I found if I put it to chords 5 and 1, it actually resolved nicely. Okay, here we go. It feels like the resolution should come a bit earlier, and you can obviously play around in different time signatures, so that could fit in 4/4. 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's quite useful. Anyway, I thought it'd be fun to transpose it down a tone because it's quite useful. The chords 5 and chord 1. So here we go. I'll just try that again because it didn't really feel like 3. 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3. So it's a little idea you could use there. Transpose it into different keys. You could also play around where you put it. As I said, this is in 3. You could put it on beat 2. 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 2. And then you get the resolution on beat 1. And that's also a really interesting thing to do. That's take a phrase and push it around on different beats of the bar. The final part of this worksheet of the lesson was just taking that phrase and inserting it. So this idea of taking phrases and putting them in as an exercise is quite a useful practice tool. So here we've got the last 4 bars of the solo, well, the 4 chords, which go 1, 6, 2, 5. That wasn't in 3. I'll do it in 3 again. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And I suggest improvising on the first 3 bars and then linking your phrase to finish with that lick that we were talking about earlier. And you can do that through different keys. I put a repeat sign there, so I'm going to see how this one works out. Again, it's all improvised, nothing's pre-learnt, so let's see what happens. 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3. I would say that was mildly successful. Something went slightly astray in the end of the first 4 bars, but generally you get the idea. And obviously doing it through all keys is a really useful exercise because the chords 1, 6, 2, 5 come in a lot of pieces. It's in 3, but you could adapt it to 4/4. And I'm just going to leave you with some top tips for soloing. So top tip 1, use the chord tones. Number 2, use space. And you can easily do that by singing a phrase in your head, and when you do that you leave space, so that's the play rest technique. You can explore and develop ideas through intervals and copy ideas and rhythms from these solos. You can also transcribe your own solo. So you could either listen to somebody else's version, or you could consider writing your own, whether it's actually on paper or you just make it up, but so that you pre-learn some ideas that sound really good. And then, of course, I haven't put it on the sheet here, but you should practice improvising. And that's the final lesson on Someday My Prince Will Come. That was my final lesson on Someday My Prince Will Come. There's a 7th lesson, which is actually me playing this tune with my trio. You can listen to it in lesson 7, and if you have access to my Tippy site, you'll be able to see the chords that I've put in for this tune. I've actually reharmonised the tune, and I play a couple of choruses, and then I go to the regular changes, that's the regular chords. This is a recording I did with Dorian Lockett on the bass, Sebastian Rochford on the drums, and myself on piano. The album is called Triptych, and you also can buy this album from my Bandcamp site. And that address is Andrea Vicari with an I at the end, .bandcamp.com.